Peace, peace, peace again. Hey, fam. Yeah, for all of you that were watching part one, online relationships, it got cut off at the end because I have two phones. One that actually works, is functioning, take phone calls, and the other I just use for when I have Wi-Fi, when this phone needs to be charged. So you can probably see the difference in terms of quality. This is a better phone that I have here. But I was saying, I guess I was, in conclusion about online relationships, which are really situationships if you never met them, is that you just have to be really, really careful because at the end of the day, you never truly know what you're dealing with. But the difference is, you'll know what you're dealing with if you feel uncomfortable about certain things and you can't talk about them. Certain red flags were brought. If certain red flags are brought up, you'll know if you're dealing with somebody that can't take criticism, that can't be self-critical. You'll know that there's a red flag when people want to keep secrets, when people don't want to, take accountability for their behavior. You'll know that it's a red flag when you can't see that person growing beyond who they are. You'll see a red flag when that person is more intent on going back and forth or winning arguments than having peace. You'll know that it's a red flag when that person changes up. They stop doing certain loving things or seemingly loving things all of a sudden. You'll know it's a red flag when you don't feel respected and you can't even talk about it. You'll know that it's a red flag when that person has a closed mind and isn't willing to be open to learning and growing and doing certain things. And to me, also a red flag is when the person doesn't really care about their spiritual health or their spiritual wealth or their weight or healthy things. You'll know it's a red flag in all of these situations and more if you don't feel comfortable about something and you're not able to talk about it. And that was my big mistake, trying to keep the peace for the sake of keeping the peace. So all of these are issues, man, that we got to look at. Be careful when you're dealing with online situationships. If there's a meeting date and meeting plan happen, make sure that person doesn't switch up. Make sure that you're not being spammed. Make sure you're not being catfish. It's good to go live with someone. It's good to have other people on that live. I know it's no guarantee. And I really think in my situation, it didn't start off like a typical scam, like you hear a lot about Nigerians typically scamming. I really think the sister did care about me. But at the end of the day, she got in over her head and she tried to move to another place. And, she probably saw opportunity. Somebody offered to pay her rent and pay her bills and she just ran up and took it. Or she was just not keeping it real with me at all and she never truly had feelings for me or really truly even had a thought of loving me. Because you don't just switch up one day. And then at the end of the whole thing, it was so fake and so phony. It was like she said her phone wasn't working. The phone needed an update and found out that wasn't true. And then even to the point of I even sent her money for like a mani pedicure, and she showed me the pedicure and I could tell it wasn't even like done professionally. So I know she didn't even go do that. She was at the end really just faking it, to get more money to pay like half of her rent. And my whole thing is, if you're dealing with somebody, you're married to somebody, you're engaged to somebody, they should be helping you with the bills. That's my biggest issue. I mean, honestly, even though I'm talking about it now, I really didn't care because I felt she had said some really disrespectful things, when things got hard for me. And I think I'm going to discuss this about black millennial and millennial relationships and how it went wrong. And, when I had to leave the hotel that I was in because like the budget cuts really started hitting and Congress didn't really pay the city, like I was in a hotel because I was a fire victim. And I had to move I'm in an SRO now, single room occupancy, where I have to share a bathroom and share a kitchen. I am getting a new place, most likely towards the beginning of the year. But when my situation got worse and then I couldn't send as much money as I was sending, is when she started her attitude changed. And she would deny this most likely. And she could talk about, we had arguments and disagreements. She got to a point where she's like, I'm single, you're not my, she never said you're not my man. She said, I'm single and you're not my child's father. And I never really thought I was officially the father or officially her man, but like I'm up here being more of her man than any man she's had, or at least helping take care of her and her son, and it was just like that was disrespectful. And then she made a comment about like it's just something I'm not Bill Gates. We brought up money. I'm not Bill Gates, but I'm like, here you are without a pot, without a pot to piss in. Brought up my age because I'm older than her. You know, she brought that up like I haven't accomplished anything in my life. And I told her, I said, the reason it doesn't seem like I've accomplished anything in my life because I've helped a lot of people that did not help, did not return, did not have reciprocity. I've done a lot for the community. I've done a lot for our people. I'll talk about that another time. And I'm not a rich person, but I'm not totally broke either. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm in a mode of now building my own empire, building my own brand and entrepreneurship. And this channel is going to be a part of that. I'm only out here for good. I only want to love and be loved. I only want to be good for humanity and be good for my people. And I feel like black millennials, this old millennial generation, they don't really respect that unless you have money. And that's the long and short, of that. Like the sister that got dragged and called, I think, what did she get called, a 4 or 6 by the dude that says her expectations were not realistic or whatever. And I look at her and she's not bad looking. I give her an 8 or a 9. I like that. I mean, I like the natural hair and everything, but I didn't see anything wrong with her features at all. But that attitude, he has to be over 6 feet. He has to be making 6 figures. He has to this and that. And see, I said I wasn't going to go into black millennials, but see, that's part of the problem. And then I talked to somebody that I was interested in several years ago who played me for a R&B singer. For the most part, it just played me probably because, I wasn't paid enough or whatever. It never doesn't really matter about a guy's potential or how a guy treats you, even if the guy makes more money than you. If he's not making a certain amount of money, for a lot of these sisters, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how this man treats you or not. And some women will deal with being abused for years as long as they live in luxury or what they consider luxury. My mom was the same way. She got with the guy that had the money, that had the looks, but had serious psychological issues. And eventually my mom died at 60, she was 62 years old. She died of a broken heart, waiting for this man who had left her the weekend before. And she thought she had gallstones, but actually part of her intestines had fallen into her bloodstream. I spoke to her one day, she was dead the next. And I came to the position a few years before where I had a physical fight with the guy, and he just passed away not too long ago. He was blind, he was senile. I'm not going to call it karma, but the last 3 years of his life, his daughter had to take care of him. He couldn't even defecate for himself, take a dump. And anyway, but I think my mom may still be alive if she wasn't in that very emotionally abusive relationship. So I'm very much sensitive to when it comes to, relationships, particularly in our community, and being the best man that I can be. And one thing I want to say about my mom, she was a beautiful person, but she had loving men that loved her, particularly one particularly, who was kind of like me, very political, very outspoken, but a good man, and a man that loved her. And my mom told me the year before she passed away, she said, that's the man that got away. And it's ironic because the sister that I'm talking about, that I was talking to, kind of reminds me of her. And I told her that, and she said, well, I'm not like that. Well, eventually you turned out to be like that. And I'm not saying I'm going to be the one that got away, but I'm a good brother, and, I'm going to be better because I keep working on myself. So anyway, I'll talk more about that next time, but I'm not saying that women shouldn't be with a man that's broke, totally broke, and not trying to get better. But at the end of the day, you want to be with somebody that treats you right, that's striving to be the best he can be. So that's my word. And fellas, that's the same way for the woman. So anyway, All that being said, be careful of these online relationships. They're not relationships, they're situationships. Learn from my lesson. Pray for me. Stay tuned. I got really good content coming up. Check out all my videos. Like, share, subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Help me get to 2,000. I'm trying to get to 4,000 hours watched so I can go live stream. I think I'm about 2.7 and I need to be 4.0. So watch this video. I know it's long. And I think the next video I'm going to talk more about vaccines. I did post a video saying I'm getting vaccinated, and I want you guys to check that video out. But check the link in the description to, there's a black woman, doctor, who actually took the vaccine. I want you to hear her story and the fact that her father also passed away of COVID. Also, I just found out that I had an uncle that passed away of COVID. And that Tiny Lister, he's alleged to have passed away from coronavirus. So be very, very careful. Take care. Like, share, subscribe. Know that I love you, and I'll catch you soon.